with a short review. So today and tomorrow we're engaged in a Shamatha retreat. And so remember, Shamatha is a Sanskrit word which we can divide into two parts. Shama means non-discursive, meaning our mind is not caught up in a lot of thinking, meaning it's calm. And ta means to remain or abide. So often Shamatha is translated as calm, abiding, meaning that the mind is abiding on a single object in a very clear way. So Shamatha is the practice of developing this, of cultivating a calm, clear, focused mind, which of course itself brings a lot of immediate benefit into our daily life. But from a Buddhist perspective, this is the basis of all other practices, because of course we're trying to transform our mind, we're trying to cultivate positive qualities such as loving kindness and compassion, we're trying to cultivate insight into the nature of reality, and to be able to transform our mind in this way, we need a very calm, clear, focused mind. If we don't, then we can spend a lot of effort in Vipassana practice, a lot of effort trying to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and not really make much progress because our mind is caught up in dullness and distraction, and so we never really go to the depths of those practices. So in the Shamatha practice, what we've seen is that we are cultivating these qualities of stability and clarity. The stable mind, being able to focus without becoming distracted, but also to be able to focus in a very clear way, to focus on the object clearly. And we added that third quality, relaxation, that I think for many of us we really need to pay attention to, because many of us come into these sorts of practices from a very hectic, stressful, agitated sort of lifestyle. And our normal way of focusing in daily life is often with a lot of tension. So if we bring that into this practice, we're going to have all sorts of problems in meditation. In fact, probably the most common reason we have problems as beginners in meditation is simply we're too tight, we're too tense, we're trying too hard. So we need to first learn to relax, relax, relax. With a relaxed body and a relaxed mind, then we can, on that basis, we can stabilize our attention. And then with a more stable mind, we can develop more clarity, a more clear mind. So this is sort of the sequence of cultivating these qualities in Shamatha practice. And we saw there in the Shamatha practice that we can focus on any one of many different types of objects. And again, the recommendation with this practice is use the object that works best for you. Probably for most of us, that's going to be the breath. Because again, for many of us, we tend to live in our conceptual mind, and we tend to live in the past and the future, and that creates a lot of unhappiness for us. Whereas the physical sensations of the breath, of course, gets us out of the conceptual mind and out of the past and the future into the present moment. So probably for many of us, the breath is going to be the best object, and that's what we're focusing on today. First, we looked at the full body version, is simply noticing sensations in any part of the body associated with the breathing. This is particularly good for relaxation. And then we've been looking at focusing on the area of the abdomen, and again, not so difficult to focus on, so this is good for stabilizing the attention. We're going to do one more meditation focusing on the abdomen now, with adding a little extra trick we can add to help stabilize. And then we're going to move on to the nostrils, focusing on the little area at the entrance of the nostrils. Very subtle object, therefore very helpful in improving the clarity of our attention. So that's coming in the next session. So, and then tomorrow we're going to be looking at using the mind as the object, and then also resting in awareness as well. So I'll leave the explanation for those till tomorrow morning. So now what I'd like to do is go back to the practice, focusing on the abdomen. And what I'd like to do in this meditation is introduce another little technique that can be helpful, many people find helpful, in stabilizing the attention. and that is to help stabilize our attention. Many traditions introduce the idea of counting the breath or noting the breath. Now, of course, counting and noting is conceptual activity, but it could be useful to engage our mind with some conceptual activity related to what we're doing rather than all the other conceptual activity of distractions. So it can be helpful to bring the attention into the breath. So we're going to be experimenting with that in this meditation. Now, some people find it very helpful. Some people don't find it helpful at all. And some people even find it another distraction. So if you find it helpful, use it. If you don't find it helpful, leave it out. But we're going to play with it. Also with this is that if you find it helpful, don't overuse it, meaning don't use it all the time unless you find you have to use it all the time. Only bring it in when you find yourself heavily distracted. When you find yourself heavily distracted, and if you find this counting helpful, bring it in for a short time to stabilize and then let go of it. Of course, eventually as we progress in the practice, we'll need to let go of it altogether, the counting. So what we're going to do, and counting the breath, we can do a number of different ways. A number of different ways are presented. Some traditions talk about counting to 21. Some talk about just continuing the counting. What we're going to do is count in groups of 10. So we're going to mentally count from 1 up to 10 and then go back to 1 again and do like that. With the counting, what's recommended is that we count on the end of the in-breath. So at the end of the in-breath, you mentally note 1. So you're not verbalizing, of course. Mentally note 1. And then focus on the sensations during the following out-breath and the following in-breath. And at the end of the next in-breath, mentally note 2. And then continue like that up to 10. When you get to 10, you go back to 1. If at any time you lose the count, you forgot where you're up to, then go back to 1. So that's the procedure we're going to adopt in this practice. Any questions about counting?
Can you repeat the procedure?
Sorry?
Can you repeat the procedure?
Procedure, yeah. So we're counting at the end of, we can count at the end of the in-breath or the out-breath, but generally it tends to work better at the end of the in-breath. So at the end of the in-breath, you just mentally note 1. Then you focus on the sensations of the breath, of course. That's the main object here. This is not mindfulness of counting. So the main object is still the sensations of the breath. It's only very briefly at the end of every in-breath that you count. The rest of the time, you're focusing on the sensations of the breath during the out-breath and the following in-breath. And at the end of the next in-breath, mentally note 2. And then go back to the breath. So that helps to tie the mind to the breath. So we're going to experiment with that a little bit and see if it's helpful, and then something that you can use later if you find it helpful. If you don't find it helpful, we can leave it out. Okay? So again, we're going to do a 20-minute session, preparing ourselves well, and then focusing in the area of the abdomen. So as always, we begin by preparing the body, setting the body into a state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. And again, using the out breath to relax and release any tightness or tension in any part of the body. And relaxing all of the muscles in the face. The eyes soft and relaxed. And simply allowing the entire body to become completely relaxed, completely at ease. And keeping the body as still as possible, avoiding any unnecessary movement. And allowing the breathing to settle into its natural rhythm. And with each out breath, letting go of any thoughts that may have arisen, happily releasing them. And setting the mind in a state of ease and relaxation. Letting go of any thoughts of the past or the future. And simply allowing the mind to come to rest in the present moment. Through simply focusing on the sensations of the breath throughout the body. Now narrow your focus and focus on the sensations of the breath in the area of the abdomen. Focusing on the sensations of the rising and lowering of the abdomen as you breathe. Maintaining that ongoing flow of mindfulness of the sensations of the breath throughout the entire cycle of each in and out breath. To help balance the mind, to help overcome agitation and distraction, we can use each out-breath as an opportunity to relax, to release any distractions, and very gently return to the breath. And we can use each in-breath as an opportunity to arouse and refresh our focus of the breath, to help overcome any dullness. Now, to help stabilize the mind even further, we're going to introduce the technique of counting the breath. So with counting the breath, at the end of the in-breath, we mentally note 1. And then we focus on the sensations of the breath during the following out-breath, the following in-breath, and then mentally note 2. And this way we can count from 1 up to 10 and go back to 1 again. If at any time you lose count, simply go back to 1. So let's now experiment with counting the breath to see if it helps to stabilize our attention. questions from the practice? Anyone find the counting useful or not?
When I'm counting, it's making me more aware about the rhythm of the
The breath.
Yeah, and sometimes